Yo, yo, yiggity, yo, what's up? It's your boys.
Hi.
Dave Ryan, Mark Robinson here for Shocktober.
Yeah.
This is Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, it is.
PS4 edition. Which also recently came to us.
Oh, so that's me making that noise.
Yeah, we've been playing it for about an hour or so now because we thought it was a little bit hackneyed to do the very start of a game as part of a stream. So we said we'd get into it. We'll let Mark get used to the what I think we've agreed are fairly horrendous controls.
2005, my friend.
And kind of just get into the midst of things. So Mark, as you expertly target this young man throwing dynamite at you.
Die! 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 Thank you.
Your early thoughts on revisiting Resi 4?
It certainly feels like a game from a yesteryear, an era gone by. In terms of like world building and creating a sense of atmosphere and tone, I think it does a very good job. These bear traps can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, we got one jump out of you.
Yeah, you did.
I remain unfazed, but that's generally how I...
It's fair to say...
I am the exception rather than the rule. I am a broken person when it comes to horror games. Very little phases me.
I am a little bit more twitchy, shall we say.
A little bit more of a baby man.
If we must.
As we say in the industry.
If we must. Yeah, the moving the camera left and right is really...
I describe it as, because you gave it to me for a couple of minutes there when we were getting ready to record here, and to me it's like the movement and in particular the aiming, it's like it's trying to fight against you.
Yeah, very much.
And it's also like it's kind of momentum based, so like the longer you're holding the stick in a particular direction, the faster it starts to move, which is no good when you're aiming.
No. And as
like,
well,
whatever bit when it comes to movement, I get that. Like The Witcher does that, where like the longer you're pushing forward in the stick, the faster you're moving. That makes sense to me. But aiming, no, bullshit.
On top of that, like all the movement is on the left stick.
Yeah.
And you can't move once you're aiming. And
yeah, you can't aim down sights and back up.
No. Yeah. Which, I mean, it adds to the level, because, you know, the whole point of the Resident Evil series is it's about restricting the player, you know, taking that power away from them. And because they took away things like the kind of static camera angles and shit like that, they've had to find other ways to kind of implement restriction, if you will. So I'm kind of on board with it to a certain degree, but, you know, come back to it so many years later, it's kind of a pain as well. And I need a key. And I don't remember where that key is, because it's been a very long time since I played this game.
Now, Mark, we're going to be doing a podcast that'll be out on Thursday, during which our book club for Shocktober is this game, Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
What do you think about kind of the Resident Evil's franchise's legacy as part of that kind of the horror genre of video games? It's significant to say the least, wouldn't you think?
They were very good at it.
Yeah. Well, I would consider this like, you know, obviously my personal preference is towards Silent Hill when it comes to horror games. Mm-hmm. But I would think that for the general market, like for the general video game playing public, that the Resident Evil series is more synonymous with horror games than Silent Hill. Because whereas I know a lot of people who have owned PlayStations and not played Silent Hill, you'd be hard pushed to find someone who had a PS1 at the time that didn't have Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So, like, what are your thoughts and your kind of like your interaction with the franchise?
Well, like,
because I know you're not typically the horror game guy.
No, but you know, I've indulged with the games over the years, and I mean, you know, they were both doing horror, but from slightly different perspectives.
This is certainly the more action-based horror.
Well, you say that, but even like the first, like the original Resident Evil was certainly a lot more of that kind of slower-paced George A. Romero, Dawn of the Dead style kind of tone and atmosphere. Seriously, where the fuck am I going? What the fuck is that noise? I'm just going to see if I can shoot the lock off. Probably can't. Yes, I can. Right.
I love a good shoot the lock off.
What is behind door number 1?
Generally, zombies.
No. But yeah, like, Silent Hill was more of the sort of psychological horror. This was more of the zombie-focused, slow-paced, menacing style of horror. But yeah, like the original, and you know, I'd kind of gone back and forth whether really we should have done this or the original Resident Evil, in terms of what kind of you might classify as sort of traditional horror. But
For one, there's only one of them we can properly stream.
Well,
the only one we can stream is the PS4 remake of the GameCube remake of Resident Evil,
which
where they've re-recorded all the dodgy voice dialogue.
Yeah, and to be fair, like we didn't even know that was coming out on PS Plus until the other day. So
no, I already own it.
Oh, did you?
I got it when it came out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have 3 Resident Evil games on my PS4. I got Resident Evil 0 as well for the crack.
Now that's it. I'd never played Resident Evil 0. Yeah.
It's not as bad as 5 or 6, but it's not fucking great either.
And yes, we are playing on easy, and no, I do not care.
You say we. You.
Me.
You're playing on easy. Yeah, this is... I'm enjoying the rare position for me on some of these streams of being in the co-pilot seat, which I quite enjoy.
I am basically a polygon player of this.
Forgot how much I enjoy being the co-pilot and watching you play this shit. 'Cause I'm the one that has to wrestle with David Cage weekly on our shows.
That was your choice, my friend. That was...
Believe me, we're playing Fahrenheit as well.
Should we just like call Wednesdays like the David Cage tribute day or something?
Well, put it this way: once we get all 3 of them out of the way.
Whoa! What the fuck?
Once
we get a lot closer to that than I thought.
Once we get all 3 of those out of the way, we're pretty rock solid until whenever he decides to release Detroit. And that actually looks really good, in fairness.
I guess.
I think as well, not to turn this into the David Cage era.
Please no.
But I think...
he has enough of our time with that.
Looking back and thinking about it as a whole experience, I don't think Heavy Rain was half as bad as I remembered it.
No, Heavy Rain was...
It was narratively interesting and consistent, especially
I remember,
by
yes.
comparison.
Antonio Banderas is here.
But you know, like, it was a cohesive story in Heavy Rain, whereas Beyond Two Souls is anything but.
Don't you think?
More and more we get into that game, even though I think we're starting to get towards the end game of it now. I think we really should have gone with the new
like
chronological version.
Yeah.
No. You? Okay. I have only one very important question. You got a smoke?
Got gum.
Perfect.
Like, what came first? Puss in Boots or this lad?
What?
It's good stuff.
Now, I did notice, we both noticed...
I haven't been kicking any of the normal sized zombies to bits, so do you know what I think will work on the extra big hardy one? A kick.
What I have noticed, or as you said, we both noticed at the start of this, is that there is some weird graphical stuff going on.
Yeah, whatever they've done to try to put a sheen on this game has put a mesh fencing on it.
Which, hey, you know, it's an original look.
It was having a fucking job trying to generate piles of leaves in the woods where you start the game. It doesn't leave a good initial impression.
Now, how about you? What is your history with the Resident Evil series?
See, the thing was, because I didn't have a PS1 until, like, maybe a couple of months before I got a PS2, because my cousin got a PS2 before me and just gave me his PS1, I never played the first 2 originally when they came out. So I was a bit of a latecomer, and by the time I got round to enjoying my horror games, I was already spoiled because the first proper horror game I played was Silent Hill 2. So, to me, Resident Evil, while I can understand the appeal and can be fun at times, always to me came off as like the silly, campy cousin of Silent Hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Name's Leon.
There is an element of that.
Like if I were to tune back into the first two of them, it would be not because I want to get the spooks. It would be because I want to laugh at the dialogue.
Yes,
you know,
there is that.
Let me guess. She's the president's.
So yeah, I have much respect for the franchise, but I have no great kind of decades-long love of it.
Well, let's leave it like this. I mean, by the time Silent Hill 2 had come along, there had already been 3.
I heard one of the villagers talking something about the president's daughter in the
there was 3, but there was also, like, I think Code Veronica.
Code Veronica was, and I know that because the day I bought Silent Hill, I remember that beside it on the shelf was Code Veronica X, which I only thought of it picking up because it had a preview level for Devil May Cry on it, which I was very interested in.
Yeah.
Why'd you quit?
The Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I mean, Devil May Cry kind of...
There's a game I have very much a soft spot for.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with Devil May Cry is, like, the whole reason Devil May Cry is the thing that it is because of Resident Evil 4. Like, I don't know if you've ever looked into...
Oh, it was like we have Resident Evil, now let's go full board into gothic and silly.
Yeah, but like, do you remember seeing sort of the original concept for Resident Evil 4, which was a lot more paranormal? It kind of had some of the static camera angles, but still with some over the shoulder of Leon. It was a completely different kind of game.
Devil May Cry is not bad shape for the book at some stage.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Devil May Cry.
Now.
Am I the outlier that I didn't really care as much as I thought I would for DMC? I know you're a big fan.
Big fan of the DMC.
Yeah, it didn't really do it for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm like a big fan of that sort of hack and slash type.
Yeah, well, no, I like it in the original games, but I think what it is that I actually just really like the silly characters from the original ones.
It was still silly.
It was silly, but it was a real departure as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, they tried to kind of throw in some Republican political overtones or undertones.
Do you know, if it was a different game and it wasn't part of the DMC franchise, I think I'd like it more.
I mean, I gotta be honest, like, Devil May Cry, quote unquote, lore.
Yeah, no, it's crap.
It's not exactly.
It's schlock of the highest order, but I love it.
But
I remember, like, young tween Dave, one of the coolest things I had ever seen in the video game was in the original Devil May Cry, where he gets pinned to the ground with a sword and, like, gets up through the hilt of the sword.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is the fucking best thing in the world.
Yeah,
So it was far more like I was into Devil May Cry and I was into Silent Hill and Eternal Darkness. I've always leaned more on the psychological horror games than the kind of combat-oriented horror games.
Yeah. But I do feel, I mean, like, DMC is just a ridiculous, like, series. But because I was kind of, shall we say,
really interested in doing a look back at that now, the more I'm thinking about it.
I was blessed because in a short period of time I'd had...
those games were coming out pretty consistently for a while as well.
I'd had Bayonetta and DMC Devil May Cry and Metal Gear Revengeance, but we don't speak about that. And I never played Vanquish. That's the one of that kind of bunch there, certainly from Platinum as well, that I still need to play. So anytime they want to do that Vanquish remaster, that'd be great. What a lad. Talk to
Got
me.
a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
Why is he a fucking Cockney?
Oh, apples and pears.
In rural Spain. Alright, governor. It's Fagin here. I did see the blue medallions, yeah. The blue coins straight out of Mario Sunshine.
Well, Mario 64 had the
red
ones.
coins, yeah.
What are you buying?
What are you buying, love? Well, I haven't quite got enough for any of these bad boys yet.
I think it's coming around that time where I might play Mario 64 over again.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Do you know what we should do?
I do once every year or so.
Do you know what we should do?
What's that?
We should probably buy an adapter and then just play on my MacBook.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
Because that was the first game that I ever recorded from beginning to end.
Was it?
Yeah. No, I don't want anything from you.
What are you buying?
Firepower. I mean, that's probably a good thing.
Is that all, stranger?
Tell you what, they are some 2005 ass
Thank
menus
you.
in this game.
That is also a 2005 type fire, just kind of rendering there. Sure, you do you. But how do you feel as well about the kind of radical change they made between the original trilogy of Resident Evil games and what they did with Resident Evil 4? Because Resident Evil 4 is kind of a pivotal game for a number of reasons.
Well, like, there's a couple of things I think about it. Like, I think at a certain point you have to change the formula a little. And you have to make it more like, you think about it, like we said, 2005, this fucking music, by the way.
Jesus Christ!
Just, that came out of nowhere. Oh, I see, up the hill coming down.
Yeah, they are.
A few of them.
Yeah, they are. This should end well. Tell you what. Alright.
Yeah, good fun. Yeah, so they really had to change the formula at a certain point. Because that kind of gameplay you had in the original Resident Evil games, it just doesn't fly in 2005.
I love a shotgun.
So you change it.
I'm really appreciating these self-exploding grenades.
So you change it, and I think like a lot of people will say that, in spite of what we've said about the controls in 2016, I think a lot of people would have said at the time that gameplay-wise, this felt the best of the Resident Evil games at this point. But at the same time, you look at the legacy that changing games like this had, and they just kept going and going with it. And this is probably the last good Resident Evil game. I know Resident Evil 5 has its fans, but certainly this was a turning point in a number of ways for the franchise, that now they're looking to roll back.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7.
From also, because even by like Resident Evil 4, they like saturated the game's market with. You remember like Resident Evil Outbreak and Survivor. You know, they really started to kind of overindulge and cash in. Yeah.
Well, that's Capcom all over these days.
Well,
like re-releases and cash-ins and stuff like that.
No, from what you said the other day, we definitely have different playing styles where you kind of go all in, and I'm very much as like conservative as you can get.
Well, it depends on the game. Like, if the game lends itself to some swashbuckling action, yeah,
Yep.
I will walk headlong into danger, like Bioshock Infinite. Like, I feel quite confident running at my enemies.
I pressed it again. I keep pressing share. Oh my god. They kept walking as well. And he's... Oh, I blew it out of his hands. How about that? Thank you. Oh, 3 for 1.
Actually.
Oh, wait, maybe not. It's fair to say this music isn't exactly dynamic. Oh, shit. Where the fuck did that come from? Yeah, the music's not exactly dynamic. It's just,
Ever-present.
enemies are there, loud.
Yeah. Kind of like, as we were just talking about Devil May Cry, where they just, all of a sudden, it's just thrash metal when there's when there's action going on.
Yeah, but, I mean, like, thrash metal, come on now. Said it like it's a bad thing. Anytime you want to be done with this.
Jeez, this is going to be something to talk about as we go through here. GameSpot has put together what I can only describe as an exhausting list of the full October release schedule for major consoles. Want to hear it? This is what we get to look forward to this Shocktober. Warhammer: The End Times.
Okay.
Silver Case. Mafia 3. Which is already out. Paper Mario Color Splash. Also out and is apparently very disappointing.
Yeah, I've heard that.
100-foot robot golf. Harmonic Music VR, Metal Gear Solid 5, the definitive experience. Don't buy that.
Alright, this music's getting a little bit flex now.
It's a great game. Don't buy the definitive experience. Don't let Konami think they're doing something good. Go out of your way to find a used copy of the old one.
I mean, there's probably plenty of... Wow.
That was fun.
That got rid of him.
I'm just going to go through and find the important ones. Rise of the Tomb Raider on PS4. Duke Nukem 3D, I forgot about that. Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary Edition.
Of course.
Gears of 4, which I played yesterday.
Gears of 4.
WWE 2K17. A lot of PlayStation VR stuff.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing for a while, I think. Oh my god!
Well, it's out tomorrow as we record this. Skylanders Imaginators, that's still going.
Jesus.
Just a new Rock Band game out next week?
Really?
Yeah. Rock Band Rivals. That's what's going on PS4. Civ 6.
Shit, reload.
Civ,
Whoa, boy!
Civ,
Whoa!
Civ 6 is out at the end of next week. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
Oh, Jesus.
Farming Simulator 17, I know you're in for that shit.
Right, yeah.
Also, next,
I think I'm gonna die.
the last Thursday of the month, we've got a big day.
Yep.
Titanfall 2.
Oh. Thank you.
Titanfall 2 and Skyrim out on the same day.
Good times. Ah! Fuck.
You did.
Jesus, that was relentless.
I see you did.
You are dead. Shall I continue, or...?
That's a nice short look, I think.
Yeah.
Now. We're not going to hit anything major in the story between now and then.
Okay.
So give us a wrap up there, Mark.
Yeah, well, so that has been us absolutely bollocksing our way through Resident Evil 4.
For Shocktober. Woo!
This will be up in a bit, along with Beyond Two Souls for our LTTC Plays on Wednesday. We will be recording tonight for a podcast that'll be out tomorrow, talking about Resident Evil 4, along with all of the other bits and pieces of the news this week and what we've been playing for the week. Continue to watch here at twitch.tv/linktothecast. Go to linktothecast.eu for the blog, and obviously check on iTunes for all the good stuff that we put up there. I've been Mark Robinson at Lithium Project. He's been Dave Ryan at Dave Ryan IV.
Ba-boom.
See you again next time.
You're trying to remember how to sign off there, Mark.